time. So grateful to have you with us. And in this episode, we are bringing our guest. Her name is Sanseria. And hopefully this conversation will be beneficiary to a lot of people that are watching.
Your relationship, right? Mm-hmm. Someone said to me, love is overrated. I said, oh, you're not the right one then, because love conquers all. Love is the dominance of everything.
Yeah, even casts away all fears, the true love.
Everything. Yeah. And so when you look at that factor, that God, if you put the factor of God being centered, then you understand God is love. Mm-hmm. And so when you love one another and you have God at the center of the relationship, you'll be convicted of your behaviors or your actions that do not line up and that's not in the will of God, right? Mm-hmm. And it's easy. Now we're going back to easy. Mm-hmm. Now it becomes easy for you to go back and apologize, for you to go back and do what's right. It becomes easy because you've been convicted.
Yeah, because you understand the principle of forgiveness too.
There you go.
That's
good.
You understand the principle of forgiveness, and this is one of the things that people don't understand.
That's good.
When you the problem with professing love one another is based on the misunderstanding. I did I did an episode talking about the three types of love. Mm-hmm. The Aphileo, agape, and eros love. Mm-hmm. Those three type of love define how truly you have take the time to become to know that word of love that everyone use. Mm-hmm. Because when you in order for you to just stay in the eros love, which implied a relationship love, a woman and a man, and the Aphileo love is the friendship and a family love. But when you get to the agape love,
special,
that's the core of that's the deepest it can go.
Yeah.
So you understand that requires forgiveness, that requires patience, that requires all these things, the ingredients that make truly a love in a couple.
Yes.
Because if they don't engage in these three types of love, we're going to be professing love without even understand the meaning of.
Yeah.
Because when you say, if people don't know, don't drive their relationship into Jesus Christ being in the center, that means you haven't embraced the agape love.
Yeah.
So now you know the agape love. You know that one of the things that Jesus is, you have to be humble. You have to forgive.
Yeah.
And you have to use all these principles. And that's what it makes people really engage in the reality of life.
There's no gap in agape love. There's no gap. If you look at the word, because God deals with me a lot in words, and if you look at the word agape without me looking in the dictionary to see what it means, which we know what it means.
Correct.
But without looking to see how it's spelled, in my head, if I'm not mistaken, it's AGAPE. And so when you look at agape, there's gap in agape. There's no gap in agape. There's no gap in agape love, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you say agape, and that's it. That's like the top. People don't understand what agape love is.
Yes.
Again, as I stated before, someone told me that love was overrated. And I said, oh my gosh, this is what God calls ignorance. Or foolish.
Correct.
Because you lack the wisdom.
Ignorance,
and you lack knowledge for even saying something so horrible like that. Because again, love conquers all.
Yes.
And I don't know if everybody will reach agape love, being humans, because God has that true agape love. But as humans, I don't know if some will reach that agape love that no matter what, I love you. The world hasn't gotten to that point. No matter what, I love you. Not yet.
Well, when we're talking about get to really execute the love the way God does it, we will never be able.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
We just become to comprehend it better, and we understand the principles. Even not abide by 100%, but at least you become aware one of the things that I think is killing our society is called awareness, because people don't have what I call, haven't received the peace that Jesus Christ put in our heart. So with the peace, we're going to obtain something that's called stillness up here, because our head is too much noise in it.
Yeah.
So we don't have the stillness to develop what I call awareness, because awareness is what has helped us to define everything in life. So when you have a true awareness, then even if you don't have the level of the agape love as same as God, but at least you abide by those principles.
So listen, so when you say awareness from a spiritual standpoint comes with the Holy Spirit.
Correct.
And when you don't have the Holy Spirit, it's hard for you to walk in a spirit of awareness.
Exactly.
Right? Because that spirit of awareness is what alerts us. It's what keeps us awake.
Yeah.
Right? It keeps us alert. It keeps us pretty much on your toes, so to speak, right? But it also comes with a spirit of discernment. That's the biggest. That's it, right?
Yeah.
And so without that spirit, without the Holy Spirit, if you can't operate in a spirit of discernment. Now, one would ask, well, okay, how can I operate? How can I get the gift of discernment? Because there is a lot of people that's naive in the world, and they really need the spirit of discernment.
100%.
How do one get the spirit of discernment? You have to seek a relationship with God. You have to seek after the higher power, which is, I call it my Lord Jesus Savior, right? Because when you seek after the righteous things of God, these are gifts that He's just waiting to give you.
Exactly.
Like these things belong to you.
Yes.
And these things, and even though you cannot buy discernment, is not something you can get monetarily, right?
Nope.
But that's a gift, because when you have discernment, it keeps you from going into possibly failed relationships. So I spent a lot of time with the wrong guys, right? Right? You can do the right thing, but with the wrong person.
Exactly.
Even in my marriage, I did the right thing, but with the wrong person, because I lacked discernment. I lacked awareness, right?
There you go.
But after that marriage, oh boy, I sought after discernment, and I sought after awareness, and I was not getting up until God gave it to me. And because He gave me that gift, and I see, you can have a gift but not use it or operate
Correct.
in it. When He gave me that gift and I began to operate in it, and that discernment and that awareness, yes, have I dated what they call scrubs again? Yes, but not very long, because I allowed my discernment and my awareness to kick in.
Prevent you. Yeah.
And it was a preventative measure that I took because of the gift of discernment.
Correct.
So I'm blessed to say that I didn't get caught up again permanently, because I believe marriage is a permanent thing. It should be anyways, right?
Exactly.
But again, like we spoke about, it's how you go into it. It's about dating first. Communication is very key, very important. Making sure you're equally yoked with that person. Making sure
that's a key
that
right
God is center. Making sure you operate in the same faith. Because you could be Buddhist and I could be a Christian. That's not gonna work.
Nope.
You're not equally yoked.
Nope.
So I think, again, going back to dating and setting those boundary lines, asking God for a spirit of discernment, seeking God and the righteous things of God, so you don't end up in a failed marriage again or in a failed relationship, is all key to the survival of a good relationship.
Because the thing is that the people have the wrong concept of relationship. They think relationship is only composed of joy and happiness. Everybody visualize marriage just with happiness.
So happy, yeah.
No, you're gonna have ups and downs. You got to be prepared for the downs.
Yes.
Because not everything is gonna be up.
Yes.
So you gotta be ready when you say, okay, now my partner is not it looks like down.
Yes.
So I need to be there to lift them up.
Yes. Speaking of that, David. Speaking of lifting them up and down, Some are not ready for that.
Correct.
Some people think they're ready for a marriage. I've even questioned myself at times. Not to say that I don't think I'm equipped or qualified to deal with ups and downs, but it's a choice. Do you want to? So as a single person, people should ask themselves, or do research, or study if you've never been married before. What does marriage entails? Because if I feel like I'm wifey material, if I'm husband material, and I want to go into that, let me see what it looks like, right? Go around other couples, talk to people, go get counseling. I truly recommend counseling for people for pre-married, for people that want to be pre-married.
It shouldn't be. I was just looking at somebody was talking about this psychology. Now these young women was about to get married. And they asked her if she can come to give her some kind of talk before. And she said that they asked her all kinds of questions. He said, that's the way it should be. Mm-hmm. Know what are you getting into?
Yes. And there's nothing wrong with asking questions. Ask questions. A lot of people start off and they're scared to ask questions. One of the things that I'm not afraid to ask, and I tell people, because we're in a society that has created same-sex marriages. Mm-hmm. Okay? And that means before you get into a same-sex marriage, you're with a partner of the same sex. Mm-hmm. You may have desire to be with someone of the same sex. Ask those questions, because there's people that's gotten into relationships and have found out later that this person is into the same sex, right? Mm-hmm. And now you're hurt, you're scorned. Mm-hmm. Ask those questions up front. Yeah. Have you ever had a desire?
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Have you ever had a desire to be with someone of your same sex? Mm-hmm. Have you been with someone of your same sex? Do you have family, or do you have children? You got to know. Because when you speak about ups and downs, right, you're going to have ups and downs. But if you don't ask questions, you're probably going to have more downs, because you're not going to be ready to deal with.
Be disappointed.
Very disappointed, highly disappointed. Mm-hmm. So questions are very important. I put this 101 book together some years ago in regards to relationships. And that book has probably 15, 20 questions that someone should ask on a first date. And other people would beg to differ. They would say, no, you do not ask all those questions on the first date. That's not how you get to know someone. I think it's okay, because time is of the essence. Life is short. If you ask these questions up front, you know and you know whether or not you're going to go on another date.
Yep, correct. It's important. It's very important. The people don't understand the serious the implication that when you're getting into a relationship is one of the biggest decisions that you're going to make in your life. And sometimes we don't take it the way that we're supposed to. Mm-hmm. So asking questions is one of the key factors that will help anybody to live a healthy relationship. Mm-hmm. Not perfect, because there's no such thing as a perfect relationship.
That's right.
This podcast is not promoting how to become perfect, because it won't happen.
That's right.
Because we live in an imperfect body.
That's right.
And an imperfect thinking. So in order for us to define a perfect relationship, you have to put two perfect people. And there's no such thing. Okay?
And you're absolutely right. There's no such thing as two perfect people. But there is a such thing as room for improvements.
Correct.
Right? Mm-hmm. And to acknowledge your imperfections.
Correct.
So people are quick to say, nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. Okay. So if you know you're not perfect, then you should know your imperfections, right? So learn your imperfections and work on that, because as long as you acknowledge that you have imperfections, you have now acknowledged that you have room for improvements. Every day God wakes me up, I know I have room for improvements, and I always want to work on those, because that's now you're not existing.
That's when you need the awareness.
Life. Yeah. Now you're living life, because it's like, I got something to do. Mm-hmm. I exist in the world, but I have a life. I have a purpose. I have a destiny in this world. So let me work on my improvements. Let me improve myself. Mm-hmm. You're not doing it for the world. or because what people think of you. You're doing it now to really be pleasing to God.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm working with my teenage boy, he's 17, is don't get too ahead of the game and don't hold on to the past too much. All you got to do and ask yourself, am I doing better than I did yesterday? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's good.
Don't compare with nobody. Compare with yourself.
That's right.
How much have I improved from yesterday? Am I a better person than yesterday? Am I a better person than last week, last month? Never mind last year. So if people put that awareness, but it requires the awareness to understand our disperfection.
Yes.
Because what is killing our society is called disperfection.
Yes.
And one of the things that I kind of input in the last episode is saying that the problem with our humanity when thinking in relationship is like they think that they need to add someone into their life to be
complete.
And that's a big mistake because I give the example, like for example, I said when you get a nice masterpiece of paint, okay, and you look at the perfection in that paint, I said, will you go and get a brush and add some paint in that and destroy it? What you're doing is distorting the picture, the perfection in that piece of art. So it's the same thing when we come to, I need you the perfection that God already created in you.
That's good.
You know?
That's real good. Yes.
So you don't need to add.
That's
you
right.
know what I mean?
That's
to be perfect, because the thing is, when you understand that you are created
that's right.
in God's image and in God's likeness, you know that you're perfect.
That's right.
That you don't need we're not saying perfect in the meaning in the full meaning of the word that most people understand it. Oh, this guy he think is perfect. No. We aim into the perfection of God.
Yes, that's right. Don't let anybody define who you are, because God has already defined who you are in Him. Correct. So, but that is another issue. People are hooking up with other people because they are trying to find themselves in them.
Yep.
And they are also allowing people to define who they are. When you allow people to define who you are, you become lost in that individual.
100%.
You become totally lost.
So you become
now you're trying to
use
them.
Somebody else's identity.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's what I say, and that's what I say in the podcast.
Yeah.
In the episode, I say when you put in somebody, so you become that person.
Yes.
You lose you
lose who
essence.
You are. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you lose your essence of who you are.
Yeah.
Because you're driven by somebody else.
Yeah. And that's not good.
Yeah.
You have to be motivated. You have to do self. Like I post on TikTok and Facebook when I'm doing a lot of posting. Most of the time I'm posting encouragement and inspirational quotes and things that God gives me, from the heart and the head, and then I put it out. But when you get caught up with allowing someone to define who you are, and as you say, you lose your essence, you lose your very being of who you are. Now you're only existing to please that person.
Correct.
You're only existing now to please that person because it's all about what they think about me, what they think about me, or did I do this right, or did I say that right? And now you're getting further away from pleasing God. And
the problem is so severe that I see that even in the work field. You see people so insecure of themselves that they do the work, and the next day they come and ask, how everything was.
Yeah.
So they don't have that security in themselves, that feel confidence, because they got this lack of confidence in themselves, that they have to have the approval of somebody else in order to feel okay. You know what I mean? And you look at it, you say, wow, this is sad when you lose your identity and you try to go by someone else, input in you. And when you look at it that way, you say, wow, even in the work field, you find that weakness in our society, in our humanity, because you see the lack of confidence, the lack of, if I put in, this is what I told people, I say, when it comes to the work field, put the 100% in. That way you don't have no remorse or regret that you didn't do what you're supposed to.
Right.
If you do 110, you're even better because you're giving all that you can give. So against that, Anybody else can give their own opinion, but it's just become just an opinion. If you know in your heart that you give 110%, that's what really matters. And people don't look at it that way.
I like that you said percent. When I think about percent and I think about relationships, I think how there are so many couples that are now going into relationships saying 50-50. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not a 50-50 woman. I know God did not create me to be equal to a man. And I am going to always hold a man responsible for more than 50, right? In so many areas of my life and in relationships, I found that I was giving 80.
Ooh.
That's a lot for a woman to give.
No.
I was giving wifey duties and wifey everything, but I was getting 20% back. And out of that 20%, a ring wasn't even produced.
Yeah, because you contribute to violate the principle.
There you go. I like that. Say it again. That's good.
You contribute to violate the principle.
That's good stuff right there. Say it one more time. That's pretty good.
You contribute to violate the principle.
Wow. And when you violate your own principle,
there you go.
Your own standard and your own requirements, who else is going to respect it?
There you go.
I can now talk about this because I talk about it to help somebody else. Because all of my hurts, my journey of hurts and my pain and my ups and my downs, they exist. Yours exists, mine exists. They exist for us to help other people. When we go through, even in our relationships, even, what we went through in our failed marriages, it was never just for us.
No.
It was in your case, for a time such as this.
Yeah.
It was in my case for a time such as this.
Yeah.
And it was for us to take the hurt, take the disappointments, take the pain, and inspire and encourage someone else. So, and the Bible also talks about people, you are overcome by the words of your testimony. So if you're not willing to talk about the tests that you have had in your life's journey, you can't bring other people out.
Nope.
You can't pass another test, because one thing about a test, if you fail it, that doesn't make you a failure.
No.
You know how I know? No. Because you get another chance at always taking the test after you've studied, you've practiced, and you've prepared. You get to take the test again. That's just like life.
Exactly.
We've had these failed marriages. We've had some failed relationships. We were tested. But we're still here to take the test again. So what did we do to get ready and prepared for another marriage and relationship?
Do better study.
We had to study, we had to prepare, and we had to practice. Now, is it fair to have practice on someone that you really know you wasn't going to be with? No, but people know when people are not serious. So sometimes you just string them along just because they're there.
Correct.
And people do that too to avoid being lonely. But I say that to say, we've created a path, and when you say we created it, because we have choice. Some paths we create ourselves. But when you finish that path and you get to that road, to the end road, you're like, oh my gosh, wrong path. Now you got to take another road. Now you got to go this whole, the destination starts all over again. You
got to use the GPS.
But you're still going to get, I like that, reroute. That's a good thing, right? You reroute.
Yes.
Rerouting doesn't mean you're not going to get there. Rerouting means you're just taking a different route.
Different route.
So you can't do the same thing.
But you aim into the same destination.
And you can't do the same thing and expect different results. You can't go down that same road and the GPS has told you that there's a stalled vehicle. That the stalled vehicle is going to be there for 2 days. But you still choose to take that same route even after what the GPS has told you, because you're hoping that GPS is wrong. You're hoping that stalled vehicle is going to be gone. So I'm going to take that road within a day. I'm not going to wait the 2 days, only to find out that the stalled vehicle is still there. So what am I saying? Let's stop taking the route when the Spirit of God has already told us it's a stall.
Amen.
It's not going nowhere. It's stalled. Take a different route.
That's what I always said that most of people that don't want to take the different route, it's because they become conditioning. You know,
Complexing.
yeah,
Stuck.
stuck. Condition is you not willing. One of the reasons why when I look at spiritual life, it's not that people don't want to take the try a spiritual life. They're just afraid of the uncertainty. Okay, so that's the frightening that people, when people are conditioned in a mindset condition, they rather live in the pit and suffering, they try something new because they say, "Oh, I already know how much this pain go on my life. But if I take a new road, it's uncertain. I don't know how it's gonna go."
That's
so
right.
everybody's willing to stay in the mind condition
Right where they're at
instead of change.
And I know that to be true too, because I had a personal experience like that too. Because I was in a relationship for 5 years. The person told me, they probably going to pretend like they don't remember, but they told me they were comfortable. Comfortable to me means you just I make you feel comfortable, so you're going to stay right here.
Yeah,
you're going to stay right here, but you don't want to stay and do the right thing.
Yeah,
right. But because you're comfortable. Because I don't know, how is that supposed to make a person feel when someone say, you know, I guess I'm with you because I'm comfortable. Like, you don't want to build, you don't want to make progress, you don't, this is it.
See, because the thing is this, that's the wrong expression from the opposite person. Because what he's supposed to say is, I'm here to make you comfortable.
Exactly. That's good. But I'm comfortable.
So this is what happened when we going into relationship. We going to be in because of convenience. We're not going in to make somebody else's life better.
Or you're going in because you're on a rebound and you are trying to fulfill your emotional hurt. With another person that you have no intentions in
you're
doing
trying to fill the
right.
gap.
Yep.
You're trying to fill the gap.
Yep.
But when
you're filling the gap, but not with the agape love.
With
you're
the
not
agape
coming with
love.
the agape love. You're coming with the real gap.
Exactly.
Right?
So when you're looking at the principle, okay, I'm gonna go into the relationship, but my initiative of thinking is not to satisfy myself only, but also be the complement of that person.
Well,
so to me, the relationship, that's what it's based on. It's not about what do I get.
Right.
It's what I'm going to contribute.
What are you going to contribute to the relationship?
To the relationship, to hold that person up, to encourage the person to go forward, to how be the complement in every way. But the thing is that when we go in the selfishness, is what do I get?
Yeah. We're going to have a part 2 to this, right? All right, let's do a part 2.
Yeah.
Because I want to talk about some things about previous experiences and relationships that I've dealt with and encountered, and things that I've learned from that, where it can probably help someone else.
That's the whole purpose of being. That's the whole purpose of being like give your testimony.
Yeah. So let's take a break and come back and do a part 2. Listen, right. I am with David Cabrera Ortiz on the podcast of Why Journey. I enjoyed myself here. Thank you for having me. I'm going to come back and we're going to resume this podcast.
Okay, we're so grateful to everybody to tune with us. And again, thank you again. We're going to make a part 2. Hopefully this will become useful to someone's life.
Yes.
And until next, Why Journey?